Good afternoon, Pitkin County. Today is February 3rd, 2026. This is the Board of County Commissioners work session. We are glad to be joined by Grassroots and Grassroots in Training. Thank you all for joining us. It is February 3rd. It's 1 p.m. Locally present, we have Francie Jacober, Kelly McNicholas Curry, and myself, Jeffrey Woodruff. In Jackson Hole, Wyoming today, we have Greg Poshman and Patty Clapper. They will not be with us. We do have a quorum, but two commissioners, again, are traveling today. First up this afternoon is a legislative update by Mr. Levi Borst.
Wow, good afternoon, Board. Thank you for the intro. I'm Levi Borst, Management Analyst here at Pitkin County, here with our third or fourth legislative update of the 2026 session. So with that, I will just jump right in.
I can't hear you, Levi.
Yeah, I was just about to move his mic. If you could just push it towards me.
Hi, Francie. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, thanks, Levi.
Yep. Right, so I will jump in. The session opened again January 14th, and so far 182 bills introduced. So I don't know how that tracks in terms of time in session, but we should be about a little under halfway there to our average of 400 to 500 bills. As far as upcoming attractions, the CCAT all-member meeting is tomorrow from 4 to 8 p.m. Commissioner Woodruff and I will be there remotely for that. And then Thursday and Friday, the Colorado Counties Incorporated steering committees begin, and they should go all day Thursday and all day Friday. There's a legislative breakfast, which I think we may have to miss this one. Then February 21st through 24th is NACO. And then a couple of handy links underneath there, and I'll share this with the board so you can peruse these later at your leisure. A couple of bill trackers that I've built through our locally hosted software. You can see these are all hyperlinks, so no need to worry about them now. But if you're interested in what's happening in any of these spaces, you can kind of click on each one of those subject line items and see what's under each one of those trackers. And these are live web links, so as I update them throughout the session, they'll continue to populate with positions, with member organization thoughts. They'll update with when the committee hearings are scheduled and all those sorts of things. So it's a pretty handy resource. A couple of topic bills that we've talked about in the past, I wanted to bring back up with the board and circle back. We talked about the vacant residential property bill. This has been introduced, and the only update I have was a question that you had, Kelly, last time about how the property tax classification would work with different taxation. And so what we're told is the property tax component will be removed from this bill and amendment, and it will only be classified as an excise tax. So they can get away from the uniform taxation hiccup that we saw last time. So CCAT support, CAST supports.
Great, I love the creativity behind.
Yeah. So this, I think there are still no Senate sponsors. I think it is Rep. Titone and Rep. Velasco. I'm not sure how this wants to go or if the board has any interest here in offering our official position beyond just sort of keeping our eye on it. Obviously, two of our pretty predominant member organizations are in support, so that might be worth considering.
Feedback, Francie or Kelly?
So, okay, so CCAT's supporting it with Pitkin County as like an abstention or as a consensus -2?
I think CCAT is not consensus based. I think that's CC4CA, that's consensus.
No, it's consensus -2. So like 2 counties can say no and the organization can still adopt the position.
Right, and I think
I'm just wondering how ours, if we haven't formulated one yet, how that's being considered in CCAT support.
They took this through their governing board, so the membership hasn't voted on it yet. The membership will vote on it tomorrow. And so if they take a vote and we don't have a position, we'll just abstain from the vote tomorrow.
Yeah.
Which committee?
CCAT 4 to 8 p.m. tomorrow.
Oh, the whole thing, okay.
I mean, I feel like our profile on these have been to support them and leave them to the various counties to decide if they want to pursue it. You know, sort of expand access to tax options. And I would think that just whether Pickens County decides to pursue this tax locally, you know, we should support the option for it.
It is still definitely permissive. Of course, we don't have to do anything should the bill pass.
Yeah, I just other
Yeah.
board members feel that way.
Francie?
I don't have anything to say on this. We'll see what happens.
So I'll just register, I guess, my remaining concern, which is if you roll the tape forward, this may unwind our existing STR regulations, specifically residences that don't have a history of STRs now are being taxed a vacant home tax and then come back to Pitkin County and say, well, I want to file for an STR license, right? So I'd say be careful what we wish for.
Well, I'd say you wrestle with that if you decide to ever pursue this.
Yeah.
And, you know, they're two completely different uses, which we may decide on a policy basis. One is appropriate and one is not.
Right.
Or a level of one is appropriate and a level of one is not. So I don't quite see them as necessarily in conflict. You know, we do retain the right to sort of define appropriate uses in zone districts and things like that. So, you know, I definitely think that that's where the rubber meets the road locally, but I don't think it. Do you know what I mean? Okay. You know, I don't think it precludes. It needs to preclude the opportunity for consideration.
So am I hearing a support at the board level?
I guess so. You know, the libertarian streak in me has a bit of a problem with it, but I guess it's just a penalty, not a prohibition. So I'll support it at this point.
I'm hearing a 2-1 in the room, I would say.
Are you a no?
I'm a no. I think, again, what I discussed at the first reading or the first introduction of this was that we already have a vacant home tax. Basically, we have residences that are unoccupied and they're enjoying their stay in Aspen or their stay in Pitkin County, unincorporated Pitkin County throughout the year. And for that, they're paying the full boat of taxes, the same that I am. But I'm enjoying all the services. I'm enjoying emergency services. I'm enjoying schools. So in many ways, we have people that are not receiving services where their home is vacant, you know, part of the year. So to me, this is a second tax, and I don't support it. So I would say it's 2-1 in the room.
I would say it's a tax on a different impact. You know, these vacant homes are inflating real estate prices to a degree that have very significant local impact. And, you know, that's what I think the spirit of this is. The tool is what other jurisdictions hope to use it for, is to address that negative impact. You know, I think this is a new tool. I don't think there's great science about it around the country or the world, but I think it's different than what you're saying. You know, the folks who are only living here 2 weeks out of a year have chosen that. They have elected to forego the benefits that they're paying for as a consideration of their desire to retain property here and as sort of their cost of their investment. This is getting at how their individual decision impacts the broader community around them, in my opinion.
And it would still be a need to be approved by the voters.
Right.
So there's always that check as well.
Who live here?
Right. Registered.
In
Pitkin
the,
County
in the
voters.
individual jurisdictions?
Correct. And I think Steamboat City Council decided to not pursue a vacancy tax last November. And I've heard of one story, I think in Truckee, Lake Tahoe area, where this ballot measure did not pass, or something similar to this did not pass the voters.
Yeah, I think there's examples. I feel like maybe LA tried this. I don't know if it's still in effect. And, you know, different locales, it's going to have the tool is going to affect people's economic decisions differently, right? And how it's utilized and applied. So,
If this was a real estate transfer fee conversation, there'd be a different tenor.
Next year.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Next year.
yeah, and that is the better tool,
Yeah.
you know, in the.
And I think it would suit the community's needs.
But in the
in the
meantime, we don't have that tool, and that tool has bigger hurdles to applicability than this tool, which could be meaningful for communities who may decide to exercise its use. Exercise its excise.
I'm writing that down.
Yeah, I don't know.
I just want to clarify, so the board's position is to support this at CCAT.
2-1.
Okay. Just want to clarify that.
And probably the next extension of that is, do we want to file on Secretary of State? Or do we want to wait for all 5 members of the board to have that discussion?
I would recommend waiting.
What do you mean?
So we can file a position on the Secretary of State through our lobbyist as a formal support or monitor or oppose, just so various legislators can look on the Secretary of State's website and see which organizations or governments are in support or opposition to their legislation.
Oh, well,
I mean, I'm fine with the board vote today. And if we need to modify there's 5 in the room, and we go further, and the bill vets itself further, and it's been rewritten, that's fine too.
Can get changed at any time.
Yeah. I think we take action and move forward, and we can revisit when we've got a full board as well.
My guess is we'll be seeing some revisions as this moves forward and having more conversations.
Or further definitions
Yeah.
about STRs, and how does that fit in relative to our current legislation.
Absolutely.
I'll just flag this to make sure we revisit this with any amendments or any progress or changes as we go forward.
Right.
And a similar discussion, this is just a follow back to the question that Kelly had last meeting about how this would play with location and extent. The House Home Act, YIGB 2.0. I forgot what the acronym means. So we still don't know. I've asked through CCI, I've asked through any of my cohort how they can define what will happen with location and extent as it relates to the administrative approval process, and gotten no answers on that yet. So unfortunately, I'm here to tell you I can't find the answer yet.
Okay.
I don't think Rep. Basenecker's thought of that yet.
Yeah.
I think we just haven't crossed the bridge.
Sure.
But I will continue to update you as I learn or don't learn more.
Can you explain the 4th bullet? What CCI explained was that a nonprofit was really to encompass habitat. Habitat doesn't provide transit. I don't understand the 4th bullet.
I think some transit agencies are nonprofits that do provide housing. Like RAFTA's started to get into that game, or RTD or other places. So I think it's just including those organizations, not exclusive to them.
RAFTA is way involved in the game.
Yep.
Not new to it.
I mean, we didn't love this as YIGB. I'm assuming if this is even more encompassing, this sounds like a monitor at best.
I think the main difference between this and YIGB is that it removed churches. Otherwise, it's largely fairly similar.
But we're allowing more and more organizations to walk through Pitkin County as administrative with no planning or board oversight. So it's basically removing local control, which seems to be a theme in the governor's office this year.
It does, and it could. I think one of the things that serves us well is the qualifying properties flag that it needs to not be on a well and septic. So I think that serves us well in larger unincorporated Pitkin County. It's also not clear how metro districts might factor into that do have some shared water and some shared sewer resources, although they're not technically on domestic water. They are on a shared distribution system, so like Phillips will be, and not that it's the same.
I mean, I look at something like this, as like the Aspen Institute project
Which is going through
would,
scrutiny. Yeah.
fall under this.
Which is going through
but-
planning and zoning in Aspen.
Mhm.
Francie?
I am pretty much inclined to oppose any ultimatum that comes from the state on anything having to do with housing for our county. I think maybe it's appropriate in other counties, but I think there's no way it can, there's nothing they're gonna do that can compete with what we've already done and what we continue to do. So I would rather not have the state get involved with our housing efforts.
Is the 45 feet overruling our 28 feet? And is the 45 feet the mid of a gable? How do they define it?
Well, there's some debate on that. The idea being that it would be 3 stories, depending on whether you measure to the flat roof or to the peak. And so they said 45 feet to include residential structures up to 3 stories.
Kelly?
I can see both sides of this. Like, I think about some of the headache that Habitat has had trying to deliver housing with opposition to some of their projects. And, the problem is you have jurisdictions that provide reasonable opposition, and then you have jurisdictions that provide really unreasonable opposition. And, want to quash every effort to provide any kind of densified, affordable housing in there. And so, I'm okay to stay neutral on this. Recognizing that, like, the complexities of this issue, again, I think most of these are going to qualify under location and extent, regardless of what this bill says. So I'm just sort of honing in on the nonprofit organizations, and think that, we can stay neutral on it.
I'm hearing monitor.
I'm neutral to oppose. I mean, I could go either way. Again, I probably wasn't a fan of YIGBY, and this to me seems broader than YIGBY. And again, the tools that we have in place through location and extent have been successful in I don't know, my 10 years of reviewing applications. And the community does get a say. At the administrative level, there's no community input. So to me, do we have people that want smaller in the community? Sure. And there's a voice at the table through location and extent for that process. And it's been working. So I'm leaning towards oppose on this one because it seems broader than YIGBY. And it seems like there's still some stuff that's not well defined in the bill. And again, this comes from, I listened to 2 hours of CCI last night, where pretty much every bill was, we want to preempt local control and create central planning authorities. So, on the housing side and the land use side.
I just have to say that's not always bad.
Depending on the local.
Yeah, I mean, it's not always a bad thing to have centralized planning or to take a bigger picture of like where, if you're a statewide legislator and you're looking at where is it best for housing to live at the state level, balancing that against access to resources, environmental constraints, like that's not a terrible thing. Whether this is the tool to do that, again, I think there's other tools that conflict, but, just sort of in response to that, I'm not always convinced that trying to trying to work around real oppositional local governments to some bigger, broader societal goals sometimes has to happen. But I'm okay to, again, not weigh into this fray, which I think is where CCAT ended up last year too. Is that it was a non-position,
Are you okay
I'm
with
okay
it?
with monitor.
So we're sticking with monitor, Francie?
Yeah, I'm okay with that for now.
Okay, so we're 2-1 on monitor.
I'll flag this also and keep the conversation going as we move forward.
Okay, thank you for that conversation.
My screen's not updating.
You can try to stop share and then reshare.
Oh, there we go. It's fine, I'm new here. Right, so a new bill introduction was to propose the removal.
Did you skip one?
It went down and then back up, because I was trying to get it to move, so we'll get to it, I hope. Removal of wind as clean energy, and this was just introduced January 14th, which would remove wind as a clean energy source in statute, obviously toward all of Colorado's clean energy goals, and all the funding that's available for clean energy projects. In this bill as introduced, there's no legislative declaration, so I can't really understand why somebody is doing this. But obviously CC4CA opposes, and it's set for committee in a couple weeks. So just kind of based on our footprint, I would think we might like to oppose this.
Yeah, I'm assuming that has a Republican sponsor.
I think that'd be a safe assumption. It's,
Yeah, well, Trump doesn't like wind energy, so there you go.
yeah, I think it's El Paso, Kit Carson, Baca, kind of out in the eastern plains, a little bit south, from what I remember.
Well, for me, I'm a strong opposed.
Kelly?
Yeah, agreed.
Okay, you got 3.
Thank you. We did it. You were right. Microgrid Community Resilience Grant Program. This is really an interesting one, not in the fact that it provides any more money, but that it allows this grant program to persist should appropriations become available at some point in the future. So this is to provide grant dollars to electric co-ops for resiliency battery microgrid installations in counties and municipalities. And literally the only thing in the bill that I can find is that it removes the repeal date of the original legislation, September of 2026, and doesn't replace it with a new sunset. So it just allows it to go forward. Obviously, we've got an impressive microgrid project here in the county, so if funding ever becomes available, we might be interested in expanding that program.
I'm in support.
Yep.
So can I see the fiscal statement?
There isn't one because there's no money available. Fiscal note's not been posted, and I don't imagine there will be one anywhere above 0 because there's no appropriated dollars it's asking for. It's just asking to not sunset the program.
It's totally aspirational.
It is totally aspirational.
Oh, I support aspirational.
As a side note, we got a request from CC4CA just about 20 minutes before this meeting for testimony on this February 5th. So that's Thursday at 1:30 p.m. I know Jeffrey and I are both in CCI that day, but one of us could probably break away and do that if we wanted to. And I'd
Are you
recommend.
gonna
we
go,
support that.
Jeffrey?
I will attend CCAT and CCI for 2 days via the remote.
I can't really hear you, Jeffrey.
I will attend CCI Thursday, Friday, and CCAT on Wednesday remotely, Francie.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So you can't really step away unless they provide a Zoom for the step away, right?
Yeah, I think it's short notice. I mean, I think if it was a week out, we'd say, yes, we'd absolutely support it, and we'd use our microgrid and DOLA support would be a nice testimony. So Levi and I will touch base on this and see what we could do for Thursday for CC4CA and what they have in place. Francie, if you're raising your hand, that's cool too. But I think it would largely be based on the success we've had here, because we now have 2 microgrids actually in the valley. The first one actually was Basalt Vista. Yeah. So we would have really good testimony on this.
Did I hear support on the bill itself, and then we can figure out testimony
Yeah.
later?
Yes,
Kelly,
Yeah, I already said I'm good with that.
so we have 3-0 on support.
All right, and data centers, I just want to circle back on because I think we're going to see this at CCAT and CCI also. So we'll be taking a vote tomorrow night at CCAT. And nothing has changed. There haven't been any amendments since the last time we talked about it, but I think the concerns were that there was very little climate mitigation involved and very little guardrails in terms of the amount of power they use, whether that power is green, and the amount of water that they use. So CC4CA is opposed, similar to, was it Senate Bill 130 last year? And CCAT will take a vote on this tomorrow. I think CCI votes on this also.
Thursday, Friday.
So it's in committee next week. And I guess that's where I would leave that.
Francie, you got feedback on data centers?
I have a question. What kind of guardrails do we have on data centers if this doesn't become law?
I think just local land use guardrails. Yeah, and we currently don't provide the same sales and use tax exemption incentives. So if this doesn't pass, data centers don't get the incentives that are listed here. But they don't have any guardrails to abide by aside from whatever is installed locally.
So I just wondering whether we should support this because we want strict guardrails in terms of water and electricity. But of course, we don't really want to incentivize data centers, period. So I'm a little confused on where to stand on this.
I think the concern is that the environmental green groups don't feel that the guardrails are adequate in terms of energy use, energy source, and water use. I think they're saying the incentives outweigh those guardrails.
So we have
Okay.
we have 250 million in tax incentives for data centers, and we have 0 for microgrids.
That's fair.
Okay, I'm happy to oppose.
Yeah, I mean, they should totally divorce these two concepts into different bills.
The incentives and the energy stuff?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
like the criteria, should stand on its own, and the incentive should stand on its own.
Conflating.
I would argue they're not a single topic legislation, which I think they still have to comply with at the Colorado legislature. That would be my recommendation. And
I like Kelly's split path,
yeah.
right? Because there's other
I think
incentives.
data centers are like the demise of our humanity, and I don't know why we support them at all, personally.
Because we
but,
want to fund big business.
Let's heat the planet even faster, to further feed our greed and gluttony.
I think.
Goes beyond what we're talking about here, but
No, not really. You're just defending your position. I agree with you.
yeah.
I think we have an opposed 3-0.
That's what it sounded like.
But I also think I would add to this slide that Pitkin County would, and I'm assuming Francie would say yes too, that I do like the idea of splitting these into 2 bills. And I think that's good feedback for CC4CA or CCAT or CCI.
I agree.
Awesome. Just a couple other quick updates. We've talked about the Outdoor Opportunity Act. Nothing has changed with that, so we've got some proposed amendments that may come but may not come. I've been part of the CCI stakeholder meetings with this, and the conversation's pretty circular until we get a fiscal note and understand where the money's coming from and what programs might suffer in support of this. So I don't have any update for that. No committee hearing yet. Same with the Safe Passages Act. Senator Roberts, that's not yet been introduced. Large load electrical facilities, which is a data center bill, is a data center draft. Nothing much has changed there. Human-bear conflict has also not introduced.
What is that?
The human-bear conflict,
Yes.
that's making a couple changes in luring of bears statute in Title 33. So that would, if I can remember off the top of my head, it would change the penalty structure for a third offense of luring bears. It would allow the wildlife officer to have discretion in whether or not to issue a citation on a first offense. And then the third piece, boy, that,
Doesn't apply to landfills.
yeah, Parks and Wildlife said that based
Oh,
on
yes.
all of our current efforts, we would not be subject to this. Oh, it changes the whether it's knowingly or recklessly. So it changes the
Okay.
knowing component from Title 33. So it makes 3 minor statutory changes to give wildlife a little more discretion in how they enforce luring of bears.
Parks
Yeah,
and
I
Wildlife.
remember now. Thanks for reminding me.
Yep. Wasn't prepared for that question. And then the Health and Human Services funding letter we discussed 2 weeks ago, that was sent off kind of same day. So that's been sent to the delegation. I heard from Delaney that they received it, but I've not heard from the other two. So
Do we need to follow up with Betsy and see if she needs any further information? Because that's where the original request came from.
I will do that.
Yeah, and you can push that back on me. Either way.
I'll send her an email when we're
Great.
done with you.
Thank you.
And then just a couple quick snapshots of position bills. CC4CA is an oppose on the removal of wind energy. They support the microgrid and oppose data center. We already talked about all 3 of those. CCAT, they've got priority bills listed, but of course we haven't voted on all of these yet, so this is just kind of FYI. Affordable Home Ownership Program, that's some Prop 123 adjustments and sales requirements. Increase of traffic violations, that's the head-on collision improper passing bill that came out of Summit County. Transit and housing investment zones, TIF financing. I don't know that we have anything that applies here. Community commission or county commissioner redistricting, which only applies to those 3 counties, but they bring this bill every year, and this year is no different. Arapahoe, El Paso, and Weld. Weld will probably say their home rule, so it doesn't apply to them.
What do they want to do?
I think for counties, population, whatever the number is,
70,000 or more.
70,000 or more.
Yeah.
Is it 70 this year? It has to do with whether or not commissioners are elected at large, and whether or not they have to live in the district that elects them.
Okay.
right?
Actually what it does is it sets up another committee to do the redistricting. So it takes the power of redistricting out of the county's hands and puts it in a commission's hand, was the way it was explained at CCI.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I'm glad it doesn't apply here.
It's the 3 counties, 70,000 or more. It would add a layer of complexity to our redistricting that, we're not set up to do. It would be another commission that would then do the work that last year or a couple years ago county commissioners did.
Okay.
And CCAT's last 3, taxes on vacant residential property, Senate Bill 1030, data centers, and YIGB 2.0. So we've talked about all those already. But we'll see how we vote in the next couple days. And that is all that I have. What else does the board have that's pressing into your minds that I can do?
Thank you, Levi.
I will share there's some interest locally on reforming the Mobile Home Right of First Refusal Act. So I've gotten some feedback from the West Mountain Regional Housing Coalition, sort of via my other role, but it'd be great if that gets some traction. I've been trying to build it sort of separately and individually from Pickett County, but just something maybe to keep an eye on and see if it if you have any time with Rep. Basenecker, kind of flag it.
Yeah.
And I know CCAT staff has been trying to have conversations, and maybe if you have spent time with Shane from Larimer County. Again, it's a little out of the process of like a Pickett County bill, but there's interest in our community for this, and so it might bubble up to the surface.
I saw that through April just today also, but
Okay.
changing of the requirement of 120 to 180 days and things like that.
And like real appraisals and stuff like that. So
Definitely, I suggested back to Ashley and April both, like maybe there's traction for new legislation or even just modification of that
Yeah.
Mobile Home Park Act that we had from last year or the year before.
2 years ago, yeah. I think what they're trying to suss out is if Basenecker, who is the lead sponsor, has an appetite for making those amendments, because usually that's what people would ask first. Is he willing to amend his bill or not? So anyway.
I will ask Shane. I know him pretty well.
Great.
Francine, anything further for Levi?
No, thanks, Levi.
Thank you. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.
All right, cheers, good luck.
Be careful out there. That was a line from Hill Street Blues. They used to do their morning session. You know, they'd have their brief, and then they'd always say, be careful out there. We are on review of future agendas.
I have a couple updates. So, and we will get updated information out in future packets too, but we do not have a full four-person board, which is weird to say, for February 25th for the appointment discussion of the county commissioners. So we will be scheduling, and I've confirmed, we will be scheduling a special meeting on Thursday, February 26th at 10 a.m. for discussion of appointment of the county commissioner. We will do it as a 2-read resolution, and so then we will also be adding a special meeting to the Tuesday work session on February 3rd, on March 3rd, in the morning. We need to confirm time, but we'll clarify. But there will be a special meeting for second reading on that day, and then that will be pushing out, and we need to confirm with the judges, but that goal will then be pushing out the oath of office to March 10th, and that the new commissioner would be seated on March 10th. And so we will make those changes in the future agenda for next packet.
So, and just for the public, that was largely due to both Commissioner Postman's schedule. He's missing the interviews. And then the following week, Commissioner Clapper's at NACO, and she is returning. And the reason for she's missing that Wednesday is she's at NACO, which would necessitate a Thursday meeting. Hence the schedule changes, which will go out to all of the applicants as well.
Absolutely.
Clarifying question. Why can't you swear in on the 3rd when they make the
We
decision
have
at the special
determined that
meeting?
it is a 2-read formal resolution.
Right, and so the first one was not going to be on the 26th?
Correct. Well, we could have a discussion. I guess that is up for discussion if the board would want to have the special meeting for second reading and still seat them on the 3rd. Yes, that's the right date.
Okay, that's what I thought
Yeah,
you had
yes.
said, so I was like, I'm confused now.
I'm confused now.
Sorry, so let me clarify that. That is a discussion for the board that we could look at is right now we had planned on the oath of office to occur on Tuesday, March 3rd. Because of some of the changes, we would have to have a second reading of the formal resolution on Tuesday, March 3rd. We could discuss having that second reading in the morning and still seating that commissioner in the basically at noon, assuming that it is the same person from first to second reading.
Are we still gonna have a meeting on the 26th if we
Yes,
go that way?
yes, you will still have a meeting on the 26th.
So I thought it was gonna be at 1, but today you said, 10.
Mm-hmm.
Is it 10?
We had discussed 10 o'clock the other day.
Okay, I thought you'd gone to 1. That's fine,
10
whatever.
o'clock still work for you?
Yeah.
Okay.
So do we need to investigate whether the 3rd is viable for both, or we just move forward and say the 3rd is viable? We still need approval from the judge.
Yeah, we'll discuss a little bit further, but we will plan on special meeting on the 26th and special meeting on the 3rd, and we'll confirm with the judges of when that oath, if it can be still seated on the 3rd or if it needs to be pushed to the 10th.
And just confirm with Rai. Cool.
Thank you for flagging that, Kelly. Those are the only future agenda items.
Can you share with the full board, the full 3 of us, any updates to the agenda on the 9th with the city of Aspen?
Oh, yes. So the joint meeting, thank you. The agenda for the joint meeting on Monday the 9th is that we will do brief staff presentations on the airport and Vision 2050 and entrance to Aspen and Lumberyard, with focus of the discussion around a joint or housing summit piece that I think has come up in the past, or that was discussed last time. And so I believe the city has a rough outline proposal that will be in the packet for all yours discussion about a future housing summit.
Do we have an EOTC date, the first meeting of EOTC in 2026?
I know they've been working through some various times, so I do not know that, but we can get that information.
Excellent. Any other questions on future agendas?
And just to confirm, joint meeting will be Monday the 9th. The city is hosting at City Hall at 4 p.m.
Thank you. Open discussion?
I've got one quick item.
Yeah.
Just would like to share that we want to host a reception for Kelly ahead of her final meeting as Pitkin County Commissioner next week, February 11th. It is open to the public. We'll be sharing out more information, but reception here in the administrative office buildings from 10 to 11:30 prior to her last meeting as County Commissioner.
And I just looked.
Told there will be cake.
And
I
there will
just
be
looked
cake.
at. I just looked at the catering items.
There
It's
will
pretty.
be cake.
It's pretty compelling. So please, to the public and to staff, please join us.
Well, thank you. It's appropriately low key.
It's appropriately a cake competition, I
Yeah.
think.
Awesome.
I've
It
seen
should be
3 or
cake
4
competition.
levels, and she has it all described and mapped out. It's pretty.
I love
The
it.
cake
I love it.
smorgasbord,
Yeah.
which
Sounds
feels
great.
very appropriate.
Thank you.
We definitely can't celebrate Kelly without cake.
No, not at all.
She did bring cake to APSHA. It was the strawberry one, and it was. I'm impressed with Whole Foods. It
Yeah,
was
it was
pretty
really good.
powerful. Yeah, she had a room full of sugar eaters. It was incredible. Any other open discussion items?
Not on my end.
I would just add that everybody at work is a sugar eater. Even people who don't eat sugar in their private lives,
Yeah,
eat it at work.
John was definitely a sugar junkie.
Trying to think about any other.
If I'm seeing nothing, we can actually adjourn at 1:45. Kelly will get 15 minutes back in her afternoon,
Thank you.
and I will thank Grassroots for their dry run.
Can I just make one
Yeah,
more
please.
announcement for the public? Just a reminder, I guess. Applications for anyone
Yeah.
interested in the vacant county commissioner seat closes at 5 o'clock on Friday, and encourage anyone who hasn't submitted their application to submit it.
How many have you received?
I think we have 5 as of today, and I believe a couple more still might be coming in.
Great.
And I would just add to Kara's announcement that if you are intending to run in November and you've solicited that in your packet or in your application, you've got 10 days then to file with the county clerk. indicating that you were then running for that same office in November, and that's as per the Home Rule Charter, just to make sure applicants are aware of that sort of standard that sits outside of that formal application for the Commissioner District 2 slot. So thank you. We're adjourned.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
I didn't know if you guys were still there. To Kara, that I got a call from John Doyle.